Good evening, Mayor, City Council. I'm just here to do a follow-up on last week when we talked about the fluoridated water. I'm kind of really wholeheartedly disappointed in all of you, the way that was just kind of flushed down the drain, no pun intended, so quickly and in a hurry. I've worked as an environmental lobbyist for years with a wonderful group called Californians Against Waste. As soon as I left this building that evening, I was getting phone calls asking me how it went down that night, and people weren't really surprised. I don't know how much research all of you did on this subject matter. I know most of you probably aren't too familiar with environmental laws, because evidently you didn't express all that. What we got treated to last week appeared to be more or less of a bought-up circus show. You had some dentists, some people from the Dental Society in here. If you do the research on this stuff and you talk to other city leaders and other city developers, they'll even tell you that some of this stuff can easily be bought and paid for. People can stand up here and be afraid to say something against their own industry because they have a policy to kind of, to support this kind of agenda is what I'm trying to say. So I'd like to do some more research. I thank you, Councilmember Fong, and I thank you, Councilmember Fong, for slowing the roll on this, and I wish everybody else had followed suit, at least if nothing else, to give the public a chance to digest all this stuff, to examine it. And when I listen to people like Councilwoman Sheedy saying there's nothing worse than a toothache for these poor kids, there's nothing worse than these poor kids drifting around the city looking for a clinic because we don't have any clinics. And everybody from Del Paso Heights has to come to Oak Park to the primary care clinic to see about getting some dental work done that they can't even afford. Fluoridated water doesn't cure a cavity, it only prolongs it. And not to mention all the other stuff that it's doing to our precious landfill. The water that's down underneath, even this underground stuff that we still have in the rail yard, you could put a seal on that, but eventually everything comes back up. We all know that. So who pays the price for that 20 years down the road? Thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
Tim.
Council members, Mayor Kevin Johnson. Today I'd like to speak as an individual and not as a member of any groups. I'd like to express my deepest disappointment in your decision to re-implement the water fluoridation program. We presented numerous facts to show how it is unsafe, inefficient, violates individual rights, and yet you still continue to ignore logic and public concerns to support the interests of entity First Five. I am here again to alert you of a new major study published by Harvard scientists showing that fluoride adversely affects the development of child's mind and it lowers their IQ. I have that study right here and I'd like to submit it for public record and also be made available online for everyone to see. Lady Ashby, last week you referred us to the CDC website, and yes, in fact, they did wrote that it is one of the greatest 10 achievements, so thank you for that. I also like to comment on the CDC website. If you go there under water fluoridation, under fact sheets, under questions and answers, items 17 through 20 specify the health risk of excessive exposure to fluoride. So you can see for yourself. The key word here is excessive. The question that I asked last week was, if you put fluoride in the water, how can you keep track of your dosage of intake? The answer is you can't. So by the time somebody discovered they have bone fractures, hip fractures, lower IQ, dental fluorosis, it's too late. They already have excessive fluoride in their system. So it baffles me that a substance like fluoride, known to cause so many side effects, and yet still be considered by the CDC to be one of 10 great public health achievements in the 20th century. I just don't get it. I ask you, as our elected official, restore the public trust and confidence by looking at the scientific data presented and hold off the continuation of this water program until we have a fair and unbiased presentation from experts on both sides with new scientific data. Instead of mass medication, there are more effective methods to provide good dental health to the most vulnerable. We have fluoridated toothpaste, mouth rinse supplements. The annual operational cost of $500,000 can funded by First Five can be used to buy these products in bulk.
Can we get your final thought, please?
Yes, sir.
Thanks.
And supply them to the targeted groups. It is a safer, more effective approach and does not violate individual rights. If you're listening, please join us. Fluoride-free, Sacramento.org. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Kim Glassard. I'm with Organic Sacramento. I wanted to talk a little bit, follow up additionally on what some of the talking points we had last week, and also add some additional information. As Tim said, apparently there is a need for education here, and so we'll continue to educate you as best we can. The Harvard study just came out July 20th. And that talks, the title, Harvard Study Finds Fluoride Lowers IQ, published in Federal Government Journal. I think we need to start paying attention to the studies that are current and not be relying on the past. Also, yesterday there was an article in the Sacramento Bee. There were 82 online comments in response to yesterday's article about fluoride, about the decision the council made on fluoride. Out of the 82 comments posted, 68 of them were opposed to the continuation of fluoride, while only 12 supported the continuation, with 2 being neutral. I would like to mention a few of those comments that were brought out by those who weren't at the meeting last week and who are opposed to water fluoridation. A quote that was mentioned in one of the comments is by Nobel Prize winner Professor Albert Schatz, and that is that, quote, fluoridation, it is the greatest fraud that has ever been perpetrated, and it has been perpetrated on more people than any other fraud has. I think that's important to remember. Also, by a past president of the American Medical Association, Dr. Charles Gordon Haid, he stated, quote, I am appalled at the prospect of using water as a vehicle for drugs. Fluoride is a corrosive poison that will produce serious effects on a long-range basis. Any attempt to use water this way is deplorable.
Can we get your final thought, please?
I'd like you to reconsider water fluoridation in Sacramento, and I think it's time that we really look at the total picture here and stop it. Thank you.